What is up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a bit, but we have another new mod to showcase today. Today we're going to be talking about the sniper mod. So today we have the sniper mod by Rain. Very easily tellable. He's a long range, single target, high DPS character. This guy is absolutely insane. He destroys anything with a lot of health. That is his whole point. But with this mod, the mod creator has also decided to put in a ton of other features so that it's not just any other basic single shot uninteresting sniper character, which for some people they like the long range action, which I personally enjoyed. I've enjoyed it quite a lot. But he also added a ton of different abilities that modify the original primary fire of this character. So throughout there in the loadout, you can see that the character actually has a ton of different modifiers for their primary. The first one being like a piercing shot, so all the shots can move through different enemies, so you can hit multiple enemies in a row. He has a burn shot, so you can actually do fire damage to them. An explosive shot, so you can do AoE damage. There's a lightning shot, so that you put lightning on an enemy, and then on the second hit the lightning bounces kind of like a ukulele. And the brand new one, which is a spore shot, that every time you hit an enemy it creates kind of like a bubble of toxic spores that damages anything in that small radius of a bubble. All of these modifiers to these abilities are extremely good. It pretty much becomes almost like giving your character a free item right off the rip. A lot of these abilities are very strong, but they're not too strong. But they still add a lot of diversity to the way you play the character, since each of them kind of has a different feel to them. But it's just something nice to add to the character to give him some good damage and survivability, and able to actually kill a ton of the creatures. So normally, while this character should struggle against large groups of enemies with some of these loadout abilities, especially my favorite being the lightning, you can actually take care of groups of enemies quite well. So for your primary, you can actually have two types of fires. So you have the default, which is the single fire, so it's almost like your sniper is a bolt action, so you have one shot and then you have to reload right after the one shot, but that one shot does a ton of damage. You can switch it to the second choice on your loadout, which is a 4 in the chamber. So you have 4 shots and then you have to reload, but each shot does much less damage than the single shot, but you also get to not have to reload all the time, so it kind of changes up the way you do that. With your right click, you get the zoom in scope, and this is kind of like a charge up shot. With your default right click, you get to charge up the ability that you've put onto your shots. So whether it's pierce or burn or electric, by holding down the right click, you'll see the hexagon start to glow green as it charges up, and once it fully charges up, you can maximize the damage that bullet does when it hits. Now then, this charge up can be really good, especially against bosses, since you're going to be outputting a high amount of damage on that first shot. But I found that it's kind of hard to charge up in between fights, so usually either you ran away and you're coming back in, so you're already charging and you're coming back in. But usually it's kind of hard. I feel like a little bit of a waste of time to always be charging up, but it does work and it does feel good to do big damage. So especially if you hit a crit with the charge, oh my god, it's a ton of damage. That is a ton of damage. So, and with the loadout, you can also change it over to another right click, where instead you also have 4 charges to this ability, but it does much. You can boost the damage. You can't boost the damage nearly as much as you can with the original, but you get 4 charges on it, so you can hit a charge on every shot if you want, and you can combine that with the 4-shot magazine, so that each shot you can actually have that charge for it, which is a little bit better. After that, for the sniper, we have either shift ability, which is a sort of backflip. The backflip doesn't really, it deals a little bit of damage, it's not much, but it is something. And if you do hit an enemy with your backflip, it stuns them, which is great for getting away from stuff and making sure that they don't follow you too closely. And it reloads your gun, which is a big help. So what you can do is take a shot, backflip, shoot again, which is always useful. It's a really good way to rack up damage quickly. But it's a pretty basic ability. The distance isn't too great, but it is enough to get away from most enemies, and it is a useful mobility, so not too much to say there. But then we get to the R. So for your special ability at the end, there are 2 special abilities that you can have. So the first and default one is that you leave a clone of yourself and you become invisible. And so then while invisible, you can run away pretty fast, and then you can detonate that clone by pressing the same special button again. This ability is pretty good. It does track most of the mobs, not always, but it does tend to help. The invisibility does help, so you can get away and stuff like that. But it's the alternate ability for this R that's actually more interesting to me. In this R, you throw a dagger, and then you can repress your special ability and you teleport to that dagger. This move is insanely useful. It is so good because it's just high mobility, and that's something I love. I love any move that is high mobility. Being able to throw a dagger anywhere and just teleport to it is amazing. It feels so good. And that's one thing I'd like to point out with this character. This character does feel really good to play. It's definitely a character that can survive on the hardest difficulties. It's a character that can do a ton of damage. It's a character you can get amazing runs with. And it's just a character that feels good to play. It's a fun, simple character. It's not hard to learn. There's no crazy abilities and weird things that you have to learn to do. It's a simple character. You go in, you shoot from far, you have tons of damage, you rack up kills, you get abilities and money, and you go crazy, and it feels so good. And that is the biggest thing for this character. But I will say, even though this character feels amazing, it can feel a bit overpowered sometimes. I haven't tested it enough to really be, is it extremely overpowered on, in the high end, but your shots can easily trigger both rings since they're such high damage shots. So it does feel like sometimes you can do a ton of damage very quickly. But at other times, if you don't get lucky, then nothing procs and you do decent damage, but it's nothing crazy in the later levels. But when you get those procs, it is insane how much damage you can output in just a few seconds. But I definitely would have to look into it more. But I think the character is fine for now. It's just a definitely fun character, a little bit strong. So some people might find it too easy of a character to use, but everyone likes to play differently. So, it is what it is. But I think having a character that's strong isn't really that bad. It's fun, And I like characters that are strong. I do, because I want to enjoy the game. I want to have fun. I just don't want them to be so strong that I don't have to even think anymore. But I don't think this character is to that level just yet. I think this character is in a good place, and it's a very fun character to play.